So Ron Cogan, the coach of the Syracuse Spark or Sparkle Muffins of the brand new PBLA, and you got to play in the first ever inaugural game of the PBLA on Lacrosse TV. That must have been a pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah, it really was, and it was exciting, not only for me but for the players and for everybody in the lacrosse community because there's been so much buildup and so much questioning. You want to say like, how's this going to be? How's the game going to go? How the players, they just want to see the game played. How's the rules going to affect the game? And and I feel that the boys did everything with justice. And everybody competed. That was the main thing. When you have players on the floor and you show they're leaving it out there and they're giving everything they have, that's all you can ask really, and that's what they did. And I thought both teams performed well, and they set the bar very high for the league. So I was very proud of it.
Yeah, definitely a lot to be proud of. Like you said out there, it was some great lacrosse played. I mean, I think definitely by far some of the best lacrosse that's being played on the continent at this time. And I mean, to have such an exciting game where you guys kind of got down and then fought your way back, that leaves a lot of things because it's not important to peak at the beginning of the season. You want to work on the end, and you guys definitely were starting to come on pretty strong towards the end of that game.
Yeah, and I always tell the guys, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I said, we're not looking, we're not looking to peak at December 29th. We're looking to be ready for, you know, April 15th, and that's where we want to be, and that's our goals. And in each day, and all we can ask is just the guys is to get, as long as we improve each day, and get better and be better than the last game. And that's keeping it simple, keeping it real, and keeping expectations, within reach.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you kind of touched on there is it was a big thing for these players. A lot of these players, this is their first chance to ever get to step onto a pro floor or to be treated as a pro, kind of like this has been with all the gear and the PBLA shelling out tons of money to make sure you guys are all treated, top notch. What did you kind of do or maybe wish you had done to kind of calm those players down at the beginning of the game? Like I said, some of your guys, this was a new thing, but then you've also got guys that have obviously played before, and kind of if you could just speak to what you guys are doing to kind of usher in these younger guys.
Yeah, the PBLA hasn't been, they've been great, and they've been treating these guys first class, professionals, and giving them the full experience, up and down, with our meals, hotels, everything that you need, and we treat it as such, and for the guys who haven't been in this situation, we have some younger guys that are about 20 years old, and guys like that, I couldn't, I thought they handled the situation well. You could tell in the beginning of the game they were gripping their sticks a little tight, as I think everybody was on both teams, but I think we, the leadership on our team, I can't speak enough about, and, our captain, Dwight Barrow, and our assistant captain, Billy O'Brien and Hank DeLille, I thought they did a great job, we just announced our captains, the night before our practice, and so everybody was excited about it, and they've been leaders without even being named, having that announcement, and since day one. So, the players responded well, and ever since then, it's been a great experience for them, and a great help to the coaches being able to look to captains like that, who we can ask questions about, have them spread the knowledge, and handle situations. So everything's been great, and they kind of took some younger players, and they took them under their wings, and they calmed them down themselves. And I always teach the team, the team is where it's going to take us. You guys are going to take us as far as we're going to go, and it's up to our leadership to to carry us to our to our ultimate goal, which is the championship. So I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, that first couple of minutes there, you could see everybody's sticks were kind of a little tight. But I think part of that was probably with, yes, everybody's played scrimmages and you guys have been practicing and going over things with the rule changes. What did you feel was the biggest difference as far as getting to see that rule change in at game speed with everybody as compared to like just things that you guys had thought through scrimmages or just basically your impressions of the line change? I think that's one of the coolest parts of this new league and the penalty shots, obviously.
Yeah, with the line changes, we toyed with some stuff. I don't want to say toyed, but we experimented, and we went with more to use the door more often than we normally have throughout our preseason, because we just found out that, you know, certain situations where there's not a limit on the amount of changes you can use. So we're trying to get our personnel out there accordingly, offensively and defensively, you know, to the best of our ability. But, you know, the game being so fast, it kind of caught up with us, you know, and running 3 lines like they did, it kind of showed, you know, the contrasting styles of playing up and down and trying to hit the door, and the advantages and disadvantages for our sake, you know, that it can take place in a game, you know. And I thought that just helped them with that second and third period. They kind of you know, built themselves a big lead on us and wore us down, you know. And you know, we just have to take a better approach next time. And you know, we live and we learn, you know. And now we know where we're at, and it was a good game to gauge our team and see, you know, what we're made of and where we're at, you know. And I was very proud of them for not giving up, you know, and playing that game right to the final, you know, right to the final buzzer. And the penalty shots, I mean, I like them. Just, I mean, not only because they helped us in our game, you know, we know with Skyler nailed all 3 of them, but it adds a different dimension to the game, and it changes momentum quickly, for you or against you, you know, and it can help you or it can burn you, you know. So it's a thin line on how often you want to use them, you know, given the state of the game and how many you get. So I think you know, we clean up some on our end, you know, stay out of the box a little bit, and stop giving them breakaways, you know, and then, you know, we'll be just fine.
Yeah, that's one thing I was talking to Neil about was the way the penalty shots, and I didn't even really think of it as much as like what a boost that is for your goalie when he's able to come up big on it, and how big that is, because now instead of that 2 minutes of trying to play the man down, your goalie essentially said, "Yeah, I got you guys, don't worry about it." But other than that, you're going to see players kind of getting after their own guys even more, though, because if you do give up that goal, we all know sometimes goalies can kind of let that get into their head, and you really are seeing like a direct, instead of like on a penalty kill. Usually, you know, it takes them a little while to work it around or whatever. But if I mean, like you guys were 100% on the penalty shots, could you imagine going into a game or a season and thinking I'm going to be 100% on my power play?
I couldn't. No, we didn't even take a we didn't even send our power play unit out once, which was crazy, you know. And we ended up, you know, like you said, going 100% on a power play. So I mean, that just goes to show, you know, the exciting and changes, you know, that are taking place, you know, in our league. And you know, and it's really exciting. I mean, and people look at it as being, you know, it's different. I don't want to be different, you know, but and we're shown that it's okay to be different, and it's exciting, different, you know, different looks, and I think the fans really enjoyed it, getting a lot of great feedback, not only from that, but just the up and down game and the changes. So, you know, everything from our first game, the feedback's been, you know, nothing but great, and people can't get enough of it.
No, definitely not. That the league, I think, kind of lucked out having that game at the beginning of the year too, because that was such an exciting game, and it really showed off basically the difference between like what this league is trying to accomplish. Like you said, high fast pace, high energy, a lot of excitement. The penalty shots, like you said, it really swings the momentum. I mean, I think the league kind of hit a home run, and then going to the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena for the first game too. I mean, it just all seemed to kind of come together great. Huge props to all you guys that made it work, being a part of it all, because yeah, it's crazy. So what did you happen to think about the goalie pads? I heard somebody talk about rebounds kind of coming off them differently. I didn't know if you had noticed any of that.
Yeah, with the goalie pads, you know, it's hard getting, because first of all, you know, the padding, different makers and stuff, and I don't want to go into things like that, you know, and say one's not good and one's bad. It's not about that. They're new, you know what I mean? And they're just breaking in a new pad, you know, breaking in a new anything really is hard, and you have to get time in there, you know, and it takes reps and it takes time to build up, getting used to the pads and getting, you know, getting accustomed to them. And, you know, unlike anything, I thought our goalies handled the situation well. You know, both goalies did well, and, you know, and I was surprised by looking at them, you know, the amount, you still see some net, but the goalies still played, you know, solid on both ends. And, you know, it adds excitement. The goalies got, you know, they're used to just not moving, but now they have to be more active in there, you know, and you could tell by then, once they stood still, there's net there. So they have to be conscious of trying to read their players and, adjust where they are in the game and take their angles away, play their angles differently. So it's a challenge and learning experience, for everybody, but especially the goalies, because they're basically starting brand new from head to toe, from helmets to gloves, uppers, pants, your shin pads, everything is brand new. And, to start a league and just get these pads within a month, some within the day of, it's a huge ask of these guys. And, they responded very well. And, I couldn't be happier for them.
Yeah, no, definitely I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a bigger factor than it kind of turned
Yeah.
out to be. But I think that's a credit to your goalies that were playing that night because they really seemed to adjust well. Because playing hockey, I know goalies are very specific. Like you said, it's not about a brand thing, but somebody wears something for a few years, or some of these guys even 10 years they've been playing with the same whatever it is, and it's just a different feel, and you got to be so comfortable in there because so much of it is perspective. You can't turn around and look and see where you are at the goalpost. So having that feel, and yeah, like I said, I thought your goalies handled it amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to see how this plays out this week too. Now another week, you guys are heading down to Elmira. That's two of the. You guys are bing bang boom. You're the lacrosse TV national game the first week and the second week. You think they did that just because you guys being the local Syracuse? They put that target on your back.
Target on your back. I mean, that's it's funny you say that. It just that's what I got that feeling. Not only early on, but I felt that we put ourselves in a good spot to have a really good roster, and we worked hard with our draft, me and my coaching staff, and we put together, a really good team and a really good team that's really familiar with each other. So to try to get that team bonding and the chemistry on early on, has been, going by a lot faster than I feel than other teams. And being, 2 games in a row, I mean, I take that as a compliment, and I really enjoy it. The boys are excited. And, just to be that. And Steven Stamp and Joe Sullivan did a great job, doing the broadcasting, commentary, and play-by-play. And it brings that professionalism to the game, and to be able to do that 2 weeks in a row, I mean, it's been great. And a lot of guys are not used to having immediate timeouts, halfway through each quarter. And that's been a huge benefit, to a lot of guys. It's essentially another timeout per half, right? So you get 4 timeouts in between each period per half, and and once we start understanding this and taking these breaks to our advantage, it's it's only going to get better and better. I feel as we go, but and we're going back to back. We don't have any time off, and a lot of these other teams are having weeks off already, and our bye week isn't until March, so we're going to be active right through the next 3 or 4 months here, which is great. And looking forward to our home game, counting down the days of our home game too. So,
yeah, 100%. And that's, I guess, target on your back wasn't really the word I was looking for. It was more like as a compliment to.
Oh yeah, and that's that's totally fine because I mentioned that to the guys and we use that in our favor, and then we embrace that stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about is you had kind of told me a couple of these younger guys' names on your team that you had, and like I think you really, the guys we had talked about, you really were onto it, and you can already see it in this first week. How are you kind of like gearing those guys and just like, and I know you don't want to say too much as far as like how you're going to be changing your game plan up because you don't want anybody to hear it. But like, what is your plan essentially to keep like Billy O'Brien and those guys helping the younger kids to kind of get used to being a pro, the media timeout, under the lights?
And guys like Caleb Benedict, Rio Johnson, Jay Chubb, Skylar Thomas, these guys are, up and coming, and they're they're already stars in the making in my eyes, and for them to get this opportunity to be on a platform, was great. And having a leadership like that, and they're more than ready. And then Skylar, as you shown, was more than ready for the bright lights. He embraced it, took the team, and he handled his role and did what was asked of him. And played a huge game. So once once our other guys, start picking up their end, Caleb and Rio, you got Jay Chubb and Hank DeLille and all these other guys, it can go on and on. But these other guys are so good and talented. They are all the top players on their team that they play elsewhere. right? So once we find, the common theme as to where everyone's going to fit their role and everyone can share the ball and everybody starts contributing, it's going to be, really fun to watch and scary for other teams.
Yeah, 100%. Now, one thing I noticed was like Skylar Thomas, and like as other guys, as I started diving into him a little bit, I was like, wait, I know that name from watching him in Lax Nine. And one thing that lacrosse has, and not every other sport has, is like your lacrosse players, they have to go chase tournaments, and like your guys have to really take it amongst themselves to keep their sticks in their hands and make sure they're the ones showing up week to week, ready for, ready for gameplay. You can't sit there and essentially babysit them, which is something that not all the athletes have. What kind of focus essentially have you guys been like just telling your players like what would you wish like any young player, not even necessarily on your team, but what advice would you give a young guy who's showing up, Thursday, Friday at the hotel, and now all of a sudden you're back to the team professional? But as somebody who's been around the sport for a little bit.
Well, what I tell the guys, and in this league, and in other leagues, various leagues as well, you don't get the luxury to have practices, twice a week. We're not everyone is local, and it's hard to get the team together. So what we do is, we teach the guys and we get it in their heads early on how to conduct themselves and what is expected of them and to keep themselves in shape, keep themselves. And the league's been great as far as sending out workout. We have, Russ Buller's been great. He reaches out to all our players and he answers any question and keeps them, in the loop as far as keeping their bodies to, to the best of their ability and giving them workout plans and the things of this nature. And what it comes down to, it comes down to them, being a professional and learning, and if they have to learn the hard way and they're not doing what they need to do and they're not performing on the floor, then things will change, but that ball is in their court because at this level, you have to be able to respond and you have to also produce, and that's on you, that's on the player to a sense. And the time we do get together is time that we are working on team stuff and our game plans. And, I don't have time, for instance, like we're not running sprints in practice. There's no time for that. That is in the players' hands, and I trust them. And these guys have responded well, and they understand what is the task ahead, and they're working hard, and I'm getting great responses from Russ as far as these guys staying in contact, and these guys are all in, and they're ready to go, each and every week. So I'm going to be more proud of them for that as well.
Thank you very much for your time. I mean, this is a huge week going into Elmira. Nobody wants to be 0-2 starting the season. I wish you guys nothing but the best, and I can't wait to flip my TV on and be able to watch it.
Okay, Greg, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.